Lekan paced the living room of his apartment, his bare feet slapping against the tiled floor as the sound of Bingpe's laughter echoed from the bedroom. That laugh, it used to be his favorite sound in the world, but now it twisted in his chest like a knife. His eyes darted to her phone. Was she texting someone? Who could make her laugh like that? Certainly not him. He clenched his fist, 1,000 scenarios racing through his mind. Was it a colleague from work? Some stranger she met online? He couldn't stop himself anymore. His insecurities fed on her happiness like fuel to a raging fire. And every notification sound from her phone felt like another betrayal waiting to happen. Lekan loved Bingpe, but he couldn't shake the thought that she was hiding something. She was always on her phone, giggling and texting. Her face lit up like Christmas lights. He had checked her phone 1,000,000 times and found nothing. But wasn't that even more suspicious? Nobody was that squeaky clean. Lekan's jaw tightened as Bingpe's voice carried through the door. He couldn't make out the words, but the softness in her tone, the kind she used to reserve for him, felt like a confirmation of his worst fears. Something isn't right, he muttered under his breath. And if she wasn't going to tell him the truth, he would find out on his own. So, Lekan did what he thought any desperate man would do. He hired his friend, Tayo, to spy on her. But what started as an attempt to save his marriage turned into a tangled mess he couldn't have imagined. Lekan had met Bingpe 5 years ago at a wedding. She had been the bride's cousin, a Yoruba angel in a peach lace gown that made her dark skin glow like polished ebony. From the moment she smiled at him, Lekan was hooked. They had a kind of chemistry that made other couples jealous. But somewhere along the line, Lekan's love turned into something else, something darker. "Why are you always on your phone?" he asked one night, trying to sound casual. Bingpe glanced at him, her almond-shaped eyes narrowing slightly. "Lekan, I've told you before, I'm chatting with my sister. You are always so suspicious." "It's not suspicion," he muttered, avoiding her gaze. I just want to understand what's so funny." "Maybe if you smiled more often, you would get it," she teased. But the jab only deepened the crease on his forehead. Lekan was consumed by jealousy. Every laugh, every late-night text, every picture she posted on Instagram felt like evidence of something sinister. He couldn't say why he didn't trust her. Maybe it was because Bingpe was so beautiful, so vibrant. She could have any man she wanted, so why would she stay with him? Tayo was Lekan's childhood friend, the kind of guy who always found himself in the middle of trouble, but somehow managed to charm his way out. He was tall, with a boyish grin and an easy laugh that made people naturally gravitate towards him. Lekan trusted Tayo. Well, trusted him enough for his crazy plan. "Tayo, I need your help," Lekan said over a bottle of drink at a bar in Ikeja. "Ha, Lekan, you're sounding serious, oh. What happened?" Tayo leaned forward, his playful expression fading. "It's Bingpe," Lekan confessed, running a hand over his shaved head. "I think she's seeing someone else." Tayo's eyes widened. "Ha, Bingpe, that's your sweet wife?" "No, now, she doesn't look like that kind of person." "That's what I thought too, but she's always on her phone, smiling like someone just credited her account. I need you to help me find out what's going on." "You want me to spy on her?" Tayo laughed, shaking his head. "Guy, this is serious madness. Please, Tayo," Lekan pleaded, his voice cracking slightly. "I need to know the truth." After a moment of hesitation, Tayo sighed. "Okay, fine, but you owe me big time." Spying on Bingpe wasn't easy. She was sharp, observant, and had a way of making everyone feel like she was 5 steps ahead. But Tayo was a natural. He bumped into her by chance at a cafe one afternoon, flashing his trademark grin. "Ha, Bingpe, long time no see," he said, acting surprised. "Tayo, wow, it's been ages." she replied, genuinely delighted. As they caught up over a cup of drink, Tayo couldn't help but notice how radiant she looked. She spoke with passion about her plans to start a fashion business, her love for designing clothes, and her dream of one day showcasing her work. She's not just beautiful, Tayo thought to himself. She's brilliant. The more time Tayo spent around Bimpe, the harder it became to see her as just an assignment. She wasn't the cheating type Lekan made her out to be. If anything, she seemed deeply committed to her marriage. But something about her warmth, her laughter, and the light in her eyes began to stir something in him. Lekan grew more impatient as weeks passed. "What have you found?" he asked Tayo one evening when they met at their usual spot. "Nothing," Tayo replied truthfully. She's just living her life. "I don't think she's cheating, Lekan." "Are you sure you're looking properly?" Lekan pressed. "She's too happy for someone with nothing to hide." Tayo frowned. "Lekan, maybe the problem isn't her. Maybe it's you." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you're so busy looking out for problems that you're missing the good things you have. Bimpe is an amazing woman. You should trust her." Lekan scoffed, but Tayo's words planted a seed of doubt in his mind. Was he the problem? The line between spying and genuinely enjoying Bimpe's company blurred for Tayo. They began meeting more frequently. Coincidental encounters at first, then coffee dates and long conversations about life. Tayo found himself laughing more, feeling lighter, and looking forward to their time together. One evening, as they sat on a park bench, Tayo confessed, "You are different, Bimpe. It's like you see the world in colors most people can't." She smiled, her eyes sparkling. "And you are good at making people feel special, Tayo. Lekan is lucky to have you as a friend." The guilt hit Tayo like a truck, but it wasn't enough to stop the growing ache in his chest. He was falling for her. Lekan's anger reached a boiling point. One night, he followed Bimpe and found her talking animatedly with Tayo at a cafe. He stormed in, fury blazing in his eyes. "What is this?" he shouted, pointing an accusatory finger at them. Bimpe froze, shocked by his sudden appearance. "Lekan, what are you doing here? I should be asking you that," he roared. "So this is why you are always smiling at your phone? Because of him?" Tayo stood up, trying to calm him down. "Lekan, it's not what you think." "Don't you dare!" Lekan snapped. "You were supposed to help me, not steal my wife." The words hung in the air like a slap. Bimpe's expression shifted from confusion to heartbreak as she pieced everything together. You hired Tayo to spy on me?" she asked, her voice trembling. Lekan stammered, suddenly realizing how absurd it all sounded. "Bimpe, I just... You don't trust me," she said, her voice breaking. "After everything we've been through, you still don't trust me." Lekan sat alone in the apartment he once shared with Bimpe, the silence louder than the bustling Lagos traffic outside. The walls seemed to close in on him, each corner reminding him of her presence, the scent of their favorite jasmine scent candles, the framed picture from their honeymoon, her neatly arranged rack of shoes by the door. Now it all felt hollow, stripped at its warmth. He picked up his phone and scrolled through their old messages, looking for something, anything that might give him hope. But reality was clear. He had broken something he couldn't fix. Trust was fragile, and his suspicion had shattered theirs. Bimpe wasn't one to wallow in sadness, but this betrayal cut deeper than anything she'd ever experienced. For days after leaving the house, she stayed at her elder sister's place, replaying the events in her mind. How could Lekan, the man she had vowed to love and honor, distrust her so much that he would go as far as hiring someone to spy on her? She thought about the night she had comforted him when he shared his fears of inadequacy, the time she reassured him that he was enough. She had never given him a reason to doubt her loyalty. Yet, here she was, her marriage hanging by a thread, not because of anything she did, but because of Lekan's insecurities. Her sister, Yetunde, Notice her restless energy. Bimpe, you need to stop pacing. Come and sit down, Yetunde said one evening, pulling her sister onto the couch. I just don't understand how we got here, Bimpe said, her voice heavy with emotion. I've always been transparent with him. I even let him check my phone whenever he wanted, even though I hated it. Yetunde sighed. Sometimes, no matter how much you give, it will never be enough for someone who doesn't believe they deserve you. This isn't about you, Bimpe. It's about Lekan's insecurities. But I love him, Bimpe whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. I know, Yetunde said softly, but love isn't enough if trust isn't there. You need to think about what you want moving forward. Don't make any rushed decision. Meanwhile, Tayo was wrestling with his own guilt. He had withdrawn completely, not responding to Lekan's calls or messages and avoiding Bimpe as well. He had never meant for anything to spiral out of control. When he agreed to help Lekan, it was out of loyalty to his friend, but he never anticipated developing feelings for Bimpe. Tayo spent hours reflecting on his action, wondering if he has crossed an unforgivable line. Could he still call himself a friend to Lekan? And what about Bimpe? He had feelings for her, but the timing and circumstances were a mess. One evening, Tayo sat with his elder brother, Deji. In their family home in Yaba, Deji, older by 5 years and always the voice of reason, listened as Tayo poured out his heart. You fell for your friend's wife? Deji said, raising an eyebrow. It wasn't intentional, Tayo replied, his head in his hands. But she's not who Lekan thinks she is. She's smart, kind, and innocent in all this. I didn't plan for any of this to happen. Deji sighed. The heart doesn't follow logic, but this situation is messy. Do you love her? Tayo hesitated. I don't know. I just know that being around her feels different. Like, I can't be myself. Like, I want to protect her from everything, even Lekan's suspicions. Then, you need to tread carefully, Deji advised. Don't force anything. Let her heal from what has happened. And as for Lekan, you owe him the truth, whether or not it ends your friendship. Lekan, for his part, spiraled deeper into self-reflection. The first week after Bimpe left, he was consumed by anger at Tayo for betraying him, at Bimpe for leaving, and at himself for losing control. But as the days turned into weeks, anger gave way for regret. One day, he decided to seek advice from his mother, Mama Lekan, a no-nonsense woman who never sugarcoated her words. You did what? She exclaimed when Lekan confessed to hiring Tayo to spy on Bimpe. I thought she was cheating, Lekan said, his voice small. And what proof did you have? Did you see texts, pictures, anything? No, Mama. But she was always smiling at her phone. Mama Lekan shook her head in disbelief. So because your wife was happy, you assumed she was cheating? Lekan, I raised you better than this. Marriage is built on trust, my son. If you can't trust your wife, then what's the point? Her words stung, but they were exactly what Lekan needed to hear. He realized that his insecurities had driven him to sabotage his own marriage. If he ever wanted the chance to make this right, he needed to work on himself first. Weeks turned into months. Bimpe focused on her fashion design business, pouring her energy into something that gave her joy. She started attending networking events, meeting other creatives, and even landed her first major client. Slowly, she began to rebuild her confidence. Lekan, on the other hand, started therapy, a decision that wasn't easy in a culture where mental health was often brushed aside. His therapist, a patient woman named Dr. Olamide, helped him unpack the roots of his insecurity. You are afraid of losing Bimpe because you don't feel worthy of her love, Dr. Olamide said during one session. But have you ever asked yourself why she chose you in the first place? Lekan hadn't. For the first time, he started to see Bimpe's love not as something to be questioned, but as a gift he had taken for granted. One afternoon, Bimpe ran into Tayo at a bookstore. She was flipping through the book on African fashion when she heard his familiar voice. Bimpe. She turned, her heart skipping the beat. Tayo. They stood there awkwardly for a moment, the weight of everything unsaid hanging between them. I didn't expect to see you here, Tayo said finally. I could say the same, Bimpe replied, clutching the book tighter. Can we talk? Tayo asked, his tone hesitant. Bimpe nodded. They found a quiet cafe nearby, and for the first time since everything happened, they laid their feelings bare. I am sorry for my part in all this, Tayo began. I should have been honest with Lekan from the start, and I should have kept my distance when I realized. He trailed off, unable to say the words. When you realized you had feelings for me? Bimpe finished softly. Tayo nodded, looking down. You deserve better than all this drama. I just want you to be happy, Bimpe. She smiled faintly. Thank you, Tayo. I appreciate that, but right now, I'm focused on myself. I need time to heal before I can even think about what's next. I understand, Tayo said, and I'll be here if you ever need a friend. Lekan reached out to Bimpe 2 months later, asking if they could meet. She agreed, not out of hope for reconciliation, but because she needed closure. They met at a quiet restaurant where Lekan apologized sincerely for everything. Bimpe, I was wrong. I let my insecurities ruin what we had. You didn't deserve that. I don't blame you for leaving, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you for saying that, Bimpe replied, but I've realized something, Lekan. I can't be in a marriage where I have to constantly prove my loyalty. I need trust, and I don't think we can rebuild that. Lekan nodded, tears in his eyes. I understand. I just hope you find happiness, even if it's not with me. Over time, Bimpe and Tayo's path crossed more frequently. What began as a cautious friendship slowly evolved into something deeper. Tayo was patient, never pushing her for more than she was ready to give. He admired her strength and independence, and she appreciated his unwavering support. One evening, as they walked along the beach, Tayo took her hand. Bimpe, I know the timing was messy, but I've never felt this way about anyone before. I'm not asking for an answer now. I just wanted you to know how I feel. Bimpe looked at him, her heart swelling with emotions she had tried to suppress. Tayo, you've been my rock through everything. I'm not ready to jump into anything, but I would like to see where this goes. As weeks turned into months, the relationship between Bimpe and Tayo unfolded like the quiet bloom of a flower. Delicate, unhurried, but undeniably vibrant. They navigated the awkward territory of rebuilding trust. Bimpe, though hesitant at first, found comfort in Tayo's presence. His honesty and patience were a soothing balm to the scars left by her broken marriage. Tayo, on the other hand, wrestled with his emotions daily. Falling in love with Bimpe felt both right and wrong, like a beautiful song sung in the wrong key. He took small, careful steps, afraid of hurting her or rushing her into something she wasn't ready for. But every moment spent with her, whether they were laughing over coffee at a quiet cafe or discussing dreams on a breezy evening walk, only deepened his feelings. One evening, as they sat by the waterside, Bimpe turned to Tayo, her face illuminated by the orange glow of the setting sun. Tayo, she began, her voice steady but tinged with vulnerability. Can I ask you something? Of course, he replied, his eyes never leaving hers. Why did you agree to spy on me for Lekan? Tayo exhaled slowly, leaning back against the bench. At first, I thought I was helping a friend. Lekan seemed so desperate and convinced that something was wrong. So I thought I was doing the right thing, proving him wrong so he could see how lucky he was to have you. But she pressed gently. But then I got to know you and I realized he didn't deserve you. You are amazing, Bimpe. And he was too blinded by his own fears to see that. Her gaze softened. And what about you? Do you think you deserve me? The question hung in the air, and for a moment, Tayo didn't know how to respond. Finally, he said, I don't know, but what I do know is that I will never take you for granted, and I will never stop trying to earn your trust. Bimpe smiled, a small but genuine smile that made Tayo's heart swell. It wasn't a declaration of love, but it was a start. While Tayo and Bimpe tiptoed into a potential future together, Lekan remained a man on a mission, this time to rebuild himself. Therapy wasn't just teaching him to manage his insecurities, it was forcing him to confront the roots of his behavior. It thought back to his childhood, growing up in a household where affection was sparse and trust was always conditional. Do you see how those experiences shaped your expectations in your marriage? Dr. Olamide asked during one session. Yes, Lekan admitted, his voice heavy with regret. I treated Bimpe like she had to earn my love every day because I never felt like I deserved hers. And what will you do differently moving forward? Lekan paused, staring at the ceiling, as if searching for the answer. I will learn to trust not just other people but myself. I'll stop looking for proof of things that aren't there, and I will let go of what I can't control. It was easier said than done, but Lekan was committed, and slowly he began to notice changes in himself. He stopped obsessively checking social media or replaying old arguments in his mind. Instead, he focused on his work, took up jogging in the mornings, and even joined a book club to broaden his knowledge. One evening, he wrote a letter to Bimpe, not to win her back, but to express his gratitude and regret. The letter arrived on a breezy Saturday afternoon. Bimpe was surprised to see Lekan's handwriting on the envelope. For a moment, she hesitated, unsure if she wanted to reopen old wounds. But curiosity won, and she tore it open. Dear Bimpe, I don't know if you will ever read this, but I need to say these things for myself as much as for you. First, I am sorry, not just for the spine, but for all the ways I let my insecurities hurt you. I see now how unfair I was, how I turned my own fears into weapons that pushed you away. You were always good to me, more than I ever deserved, and though I lost you, I'll always be grateful for the time we had together. I've been working on myself, not to win you back, but because I don't want to be the man who let his demons destroy the best thing that ever happened to him. I hope you're happy, Bimpe. You deserve to be. Yours truly, Lekan. Tears filled Bimpe's eyes as she read the letter. She wasn't sure what she felt. Closure? Sadness? Maybe even relief. Lekan's words were sincere, and though they didn't erase the pain, they marked a turning point in her healing process. That evening, as she sat in her studio sketching designs, she thought about everything: her past with Lekan, her budding connection with Tayo, and her own growth. For the first time in months, she felt at peace with her choices. Months later, Lekan and Bimpe ran into each other at a mutual friend's wedding. It was the first time they had seen each other since their separation. Bimpe looked radiant in a mustard yellow ashwebi gown, her laughter as infectious as ever. Lekan felt a pang of nostalgia, but also pride. She seemed happy, and that was enough for him. They exchanged polite greetings, and though the conversation was brief, it was free of tension. Take care, Bimpe, Lekan said as they parted ways. You too, Lekan, she replied, her smile warm but distant. For Lekan, the encounter was bittersweet, but it also reaffirmed his decision to let go. Tayo and Bimpe's relationship grew stronger over time. There were challenges, of course, whispers from mutual friends, awkward moments when Lekan's name came up, but they faced them together. One evening, as they sat on the balcony of Tayo's apartment, overlooking the glittering street lights, he turned to her and said, Bimpe, I want us to build something real, but only if you are ready. Bimpe looked at him, her heart full. I'm ready. Tayo, let's take it one step at a time. And so they did. Their love wasn't rushed or forced. It was a steady, deliberate journey of two people choosing to trust again. Lekan's story didn't end with a grand reconciliation or dramatic new romance. Instead, it became one of quiet transformation, a man learning to love himself before he could truly love anyone else. And as for Bimpe and Tayo, their love blossomed not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. They found a way to navigate life's complexities together, hand in hand. And in the end, that was enough. Love without trust is a ticking time bomb. So if you enjoyed this story, you will definitely love the next one. Click to watch it now. Goodbye.